Hi, my name is Jojo, and I'm a grade 11 student at ESA. Everything feels a little crazy right now. It's been feeling crazy for a long time. 2 years ago, we were in quarantine. I had just gotten into ESA for grade 10, after I had spent grade 9 at my home school, where I lost my sense of who I was. None of that was how I imagined high school going. None of this was in my grand life plan that I had mapped out in my head. I wasn't supposed to spend my grade 9 year curling into myself and skipping as much school as my parents would let me. None of us were supposed to spend 2 years stuck at home, talking through computer screens and losing track of our lives. Now, I just feel lost. I mean, I know where I am moment to moment. I know where I am on an average school day. But I don't know what will happen next weekend, or the weekend after that. And I don't know what will happen next month. And I don't know what will happen next year. And I have never liked not knowing, but I am trying to get used to it. This applies to my art as well. I like to have a solid idea for my art, whether that's planning out a sketch in my head before drawing it, or having an outline for a story decided before I write it down. However, my current project has changed quite a lot from its original idea. Over quarantine, I had become obsessed with video games. They were easy ways to pass the time, and they were a constant. In a video game, time never passes without you. Nothing changes without you. It stays the way you left it until you start it up again, and when you play it, the path you need to take is clearly marked out. There is no getting lost in a game. There is no losing track of time. There's magic in that. Magic in being able to do something so clearly outlined. Magic in the fact that it only ever changed if you wanted it to change. You could pause the world forever, and it would stay that way. The world and the story and the ending only happen because you decide to play. I loved that magic. I wanted to make that magic. I wanted to make a video game. There was no reason not to, it was just a matter of learning. I started to plan out my game in my head. I sorted through details and choices, creating characters with their own roles and storylines. I went through a lot of ideas for the main themes of the game, but I eventually settled on 2. Loneliness and fear of losing time. Both were things I had struggled with over quarantine. I decided the story should depend on you, on the player. Depending on what the player does, the story will change. It will depend on how fast and how rushed you wanted to feel, and how much time you were willing to risk on other characters' problems. I started to learn coding, and I made sketches of all my ideas. I had ideas for areas and platforms and backgrounds and characters and achievements. I came up with the designs for the main characters as well. After months of working away at tutorials, I was finally confident enough to try and create something of my own. Nothing huge yet, just a little bit of fairly simple code. It took a few tries, but I was able to properly code my little character to walk back and forth across a city background. After about a year of learning and making and working, I was finally able to make this little scene. It felt amazing to finally see all the work I've put in come out as something physical. These characters and ideas have grown so wonderfully from the 2-dimensional drawings I originally had. I have so many ideas for things farther into the game. So many designs and twists and stories I could choose to follow. And as I keep going, as I keep learning, these ideas change. Stories have been scrapped and rearranged in my head. Entire characters have been reworked as I grow and as I change. Chances are, these characters will be rebuilt and torn down and scrapped and thrown around 100 more times before I finalize them. And that's okay. I have learned it's okay to balance knowing and not knowing, planning and not planning. It's okay to feel like everything is crazy and unknown. Things are going to try to throw you off where you are right now or where you want to be. There is always going to be an unknown, unplanned event waiting to happen. Your grand life plan, if you have one, will change over and over. It will adapt and it will grow to absorb the events that happen and the actions you take. And that's okay. Thank you.